I love the donuts hidden
I know,
amongst
they're so
the
cute.
helmets.
I was wondering if you guys would notice.
Yeah, I was like, are there any more? And the screen's like very small, so I'm like,
No, they're so cute.
Welcome, dog moms and dads, to our show where we discuss the everyday joys and challenges of pet parenting. I'm your host, Jen.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is the Dog Mom Podcast presented by ZippyPaws.
Yay! All right, and we are back. So today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to introduce her. Currently the head of global business development for Daniel Suarez Racing and the face of Motorsport Report. And she's also a pretty big animal lover. Julia Piquet, welcome.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Yeah, we're so excited to introduce you to our podcast following. We think that we're a little bit of fangirls, I would say. I don't want to give up our secrets, but we're very excited to have you. Would love to just kind of jump right in and learn a little bit more about you, your background. Just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Julia. I'm 29 years old. Whenever someone asks me where I'm from, I'm like, all right, should I give the short answer or the complicated answer? So my mother is Dutch and my father is Brazilian. So I always say I'm half. But I was born in Germany. I actually grew up in France. I lived in France for 14 years. And then I did high school in Brazil. I went to live with my dad. My parents have been pretty much split my whole life. So at 14 and a half, I went to Brazil. I did high school in Brazil. I was there for 4 years. And then I moved to London. I was in London for a year. And then came over to the US in 2011 to do college. I went to University of Miami in Florida, lived in Miami for about 10 years almost. And in April of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, I decided to quit my job at motorsport.com and move full-time to Charlotte, North Carolina. And where I've been for 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. And I have the opportunity to work with Daniel, who's a ZippyPaws ambassador. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of change, and it's been a lot of experiencing different places. And I'm really happy where I'm at right now.
Wow,
That's amazing.
I thought I had a multicultural background. My family is Filipino and Russian. But I think you take the cake for that one.
I get the Russian a lot in Miami. A lot of people ask me if I was Russian, and I thought maybe it's because I'm blonde. But then I went through a period for 6 months where I dyed my hair. I was a brunette, and they'd still ask me, and I thought, well, it's something else. I don't know, but yeah, I can see the Russian in you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe because you're blonde, but. I mean, I think Russian women have this stereotype of being, pretty badass, pretty straightforward, business go-getters. So it might have been personality too. I can see that.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's just how you carry yourself,
I think something has to be said too for like facial features and like sort of like a strong jawline. But I'm like, I'll take it as a compliment, that's all right.
Right. So how did you get involved in racing?
So I actually come from a background of racing. I come from a family of race car drivers. My dad was a race car driver. 3 of my brothers are race car drivers, actually more than that, but some are still professional. Others have just do it as a hobby now. So yeah, it's been a big part of my life since forever. I didn't quite get the opportunity to go to races when my dad was racing because I was still very young, and just about the time when I was born was when he sort of retired from full-time professional racing. But I did see my brother Nelson race a lot. I remember traveling in England a lot to watch him race there. At the time he was doing a British championship. and then just following him, in his steps to Formula One, and then racing in NASCAR, and then being the first Formula E champion. So just had a lot of racers around me all the time, and yeah, and so it just so happens that my boyfriend's a race car driver now. I totally was not looking for that at all.
Do you feel that is it? Do you guys talk about that a lot? Is it something that you guys share in common, or is it one of those things where you guys both know you have that history and that's kind of where it ends?
We definitely talk about racing a lot. And that's just partly because that's our lives. We travel every single weekend to a different place for a different race, and that's 3 days out of our week where it's 110% all about racing. And then during the week, it's not like we're on holiday Monday through Thursday. He goes to the shop, I'm working with sponsor related stuff, so it's always a back and forth of conversations about racing. And I don't say that like as a complaint, like, yeah, we love it. We'll have like a dinner date and we'll talk about racing.
I love it.
No, it's, yeah, 100%. Like when you work with your significant other very closely in your business, this, like, a lot of what you talk about is, the trials, tribulations of things at work, and headaches, and it just comes with the territory, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like you also have to sort of find that or set those boundaries in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, this is an example that I use all the time, but we'll be in bed, like, I'm ready to fall asleep, I'm so tired, and then Daniel will be like, hey, what do you think of this helmet design? And I'm like, no. I'm out.
Yeah, you have to check out. That's like, so my husband used to be, well, he's still a musician, but he used to be a performing musician. And I would work really heavily with him. I would help do their social media, their marketing. And it is like, you have to set those boundaries, because we'd be at dinner and I'm talking about stuff. He goes, no, I need to shut off. He goes, you need to stop. I can't do this right now. So I totally get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel's the kind of person that he can never switch off. So even when it's like, a day where we don't have much planned and it's like kind of rainy outside, he has a really hard time just sitting still on the couch and like watching TV or just being useless for a few hours, So I'm like, all right, calm down. Let's just do something else right now.
I wish I had that problem.
I know, me too.
All right. So I feel like this wouldn't be Dog Mom Podcast if we did not talk about Emma. Honestly, Jen, I know you've heard me gush about her, the cutest dog I've ever seen. I have always had big dogs. I am a big dog lover, and I have never had small dog envy until this girl. She is so freaking cute. So tell us a little bit more about her. When did you get her? How long have you had her? All of the details. And I guess what kind of a dog she is for our listeners too.
Absolutely. So her name is Emma. She's an 8-year-old long-haired Chihuahua. She's black and white, so a little bit unusual colors for a Chihuahua. She's a sweetheart, and every time someone asks me what kind of a dog do you have, I always preface it by saying she's a Chihuahua, but she's not like right. She's not like yappy. She's not a pain in the butt. She's not aggressive. She's like the coolest Chihuahua like you've ever met. She'll like fetch the ball and just super sweet, hardly ever barks. And I've had her since she's I think just about 9 weeks old. This was, I think, in 2014, beginning of 2014. And I really wanted my own small dog, and I thought now's the time because I was in a semester at school where I wasn't taking that many classes. So I was able to stay home more and educate and train the dog myself and all that. So yeah, I found, it's always best to adopt. I was hell-bent on getting a Chihuahua, and those are usually one of the first dogs out of the adoption centers. Yeah. Everyone wants a small dog. And so I found a breeder in Tennessee, small, like family mother or wife and husband with 2 kids, and they have like a side gig of breeding Chihuahuas, and saw Emma's picture when she was like just still like 5 weeks at the time, and I was just lost it for her. I called them up. I said, I'll fly in, pick her up. I'll do whatever I have to do. And so I did. I flew in, picked her up at the airport when she was 9 weeks or 10 weeks. Flew back with her that same day. I literally didn't even leave the airport. And yeah, have had her ever since. She's such an incredible dog. I can't say enough about her. Obviously, I'm biased, but she is like the most well-behaved, just bundle of joy I've ever had.
Oh, I love it. Well, so it sounds like you're probably a large part of the reason that she's not a typical Chihuahua, right? Like I think you have to take some credit, especially as dog moms. Like we've seen those misbehaved dogs, and I think so often we always want to put that on the dog, right? Like, oh, the dog is so well behaved or the dog is so bad. But it's a lot of training and it's a lot of hard work.
Oh, it is. And you have to yourself be disciplined to not let the dog's cuteness and whatnot take over, like if she pees
guilty though.
or if she has like a little accident, like you have to be disciplined to, discipline the dog so that she or he will know, I can't do this. And so I've always been very strict about that. I'm very strict about not giving her food off of the table, because then suddenly you have a dog that's like begging all the time. And like I sit with my mom and I'm like, don't give my dog any food. Yeah. So Daniel once in a while will sneak her some food off of the plate. And so sure enough, whenever we're having dinner or lunch or
she's on that side of the table.
She's with him, climbing up his leg, trying to get food from his plate.
I love it. It's always the guys, because my husband's that way too. Is Nick that way too, Jen?
He tells me that I shouldn't give the dogs anything, but it's him that's giving the dogs little scraps of food.
Yeah.
So
I think it's because they know that the dogs prefer us, the mamas. So they're like, all right, food's the only way that I can lure them in.
Very true.
Yeah, I see that. So does Emma have any fun little quirks about her? I feel like every dog always has something. What's your favorite thing about her?
So she has this thing where I think it's a nervous tick. It has to be. She does this kind of nervous stretch, and she does it very often. So if she's, at the back of the room and I'll call her, she'll come closer, and then she'll do like a big stretch where her like 2 front paws are stretched out and her butt's in the air. And then I'm like, Emma, come on. And then she like comes a little more and she does the stretch again. And I'm like, gotta be a nervous tick.
I love it. I love it. So from what we've seen on your social media as well, it seems like you're a big proponent of both physical health and mental health. And what role do you think animals play in the mental health department? This is something that is very near and dear to me. I think that we can learn so much from animals and they have so much to give, but I would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah. And, I've always known that animals have a huge effect on people's well-being and spirit and mood. But I don't think I quite realized that until in the last few years, where there are certain trips I've had to take on my own and I wasn't able to bring Emma with me. And I would like notice that my anxiety was so much higher traveling without her being there with me.
Yeah.
Or, there were times where we had to like travel for a week and just couldn't take her for whatever reason. And then even if it's like a road trip somewhere, and it's just so visible that when she's without me, I get a little bit more anxious, I get just not as comfortable. And so, it's a big thing, I mean, whenever she's around and I'm upset, like I'll grab her, I'll pet her, and